So let's discuss DeepMind. I'm gonna just talk about pretty much everything that happened. So for those that are maybe not aware, what happened literally 30 minutes ago, it just ended. DeepMind was playing. DeepMind is an AI that's being developed, or AlphaStar is a AI developed by DeepMind, and DeepMind are the same people that created AlphaGo, that beat the Go top players, pretty much destroy them, and now DeepMind created that same AI, or not same, but similar AI for StarCraft, with the same goal of them defeating StarCraft 2 Progamers. So today we had a little exhibition where they showed how the AI worked, and I actually discussed this in the balanced patch video, and I said that I don't expect a lot. I did not expect full-on gameplay. I expected just kind of like very basic things. So I expected like a 3 racks of 1 base or something like that, but it turns out it was much better than that. So the thing started with them talking about AI a little bit, what it's going to be, what's their goals, the classic stuff, and everyone was just kind of excited for the event to start. And then we saw the AI play against. Well, they announced that the AI will play some games against pro players, and they're about to show us some of the replays, and they're going to commentate over it. And I was like, oh my god, it's exciting! I did not expect the AI is going to be playing against pro players already. Like that's super exciting, right? So they're talking about how they asked Blizzard who to invite, and they said they invited TLO, but the matchup said PvP. So I was like, pro players, TLO's off-race Protoss? I don't know about that. So anyway, the whole thing, chat in DeepMind or StarCraft stream is spamming LOL, TLO, Protoss player, Protoss player and so on. So I was kind of disappointed, and then the AI starts playing against TLO, and it's very clear that neither the AI or TLO are, maximum Master 3 level. Maximum. I will shoot myself in the foot if it was any higher. The AI wasn't even walling off in PvP, which is not a big deal, but there were a lot of mistakes. They didn't know how to put a pylon to not let the shades go in. There was misclicking. The builds were very weird. The builds were off. And I was like, okay, a little bit disappointed because when they announce against pro players, I expect there's going to be a full-on match, and it's going to be like hype and all, right? So I was kind of like, okay. And then TLO ends up losing 5-0 in some of the games that I would not suggest. And basically, one of the DeepMind guys said that TLO's Protoss is mid-GM, which made me choke a little bit and made me giggle quite a bit, because I am mid-GM, and that Protoss, like I said, Diamond 1, Master 3, the AI that TLO was playing against. So anyway, they say they have another show match, and I was like, okay, alright. So they said they wanted to invite a better pro player, or even better pro gamer to compete against an AI. I was like, okay, well there's a challenge, right? So I even tweeted that once they announced it's going to be Mana from Team Liquid, I was like, okay, well the AI is going to lose. Because I thought the same AI that played against TLO is going to play Mana. Because Mana would have absolutely dumpstered, that AI that TLO was playing against. So what ends up happening, I'm kind of like, okay, this is going to be a stomp, easy peasy. So the games start, and then the AI is obviously not the same. There's no more miss pro production, there's no more misrallied probes running around. The play from the start is cleaner, and the AI starts off with a 4-gate, and the micro is way better than the first AI, and it just kind of beats Mana. Now, I'm not going to go too into the games, because I will be analyzing those games on my stream. But, spoilers, Mana gets wrecked 5-0. And we saw some very, very interesting games that, again, I'll be analyzing. And the AI actually only improved a week from when it played TLO to when it played Mana. So that's something that... Okay, hold on, let me... People are complaining about in-game sounds. Let me fix that. So the AI from when it played TLO to when it played Mana was only 1 week difference. And the AI was, when it played against Mana, it was like, you know, top 10, top 5 GM level, if not even like 7k MMR. The micro was really good. The builds and everything else was a completely different story. So Mana ends up losing. We see a lot of interesting things from the AI. I mean, it doesn't follow the normal build order, even though it's analyzed replays from pro players and players from the ladder. The AI is using completely its own things. It's doing its own way of playing and kind of understanding the game. So the first thing we saw was the AI was over-probing. So for people that maybe don't know what that means, when you probe up, it means that you go up to 16 probes in your mineral line, which is what everyone is doing. But the AI in all the games, even when it was playing against TLO or Mana, was over-probing. And it went up to 24 probes, and when it was nearing 24 probes, it was expanding then. Now, we don't know if this is only a PvP thing. We don't know if this is something that AI will be doing in all the matchups. We don't know if the AI would do this if it was a Zerg AI. We don't know if, you know, AI would do this if it was a Terran AI because of mules. But the AI, what the developers of DeepMind and AlphaStar said, the AI has over 200 years of played time or experience, something like that, in StarCraft 2. So the AI is learning on its own, it's learning on its past games, and it's kind of developing strategies as well as analyzing replays. But we saw 5 different AIs, basically, playing against Hilo, and 5 different AIs playing against Mana, and they were all doing overprobing. So this raises a question: have we been playing StarCraft 2 wrong for the past 8 years? This is not a thing of, you know, what Unicomp you prefer or something like that. This is core economy. And if AI did this, there has to be a reason for it, right? There has to be games where one AI went for 16 probes, the other AI went for 24 probes, and when they played hundreds and thousands of games, the AI that overprobed probably won more games. So this is the thing that actually blew my mind. When I started the first game, I was like, okay, it's probably stupid AI. It doesn't understand, right? It doesn't know what it's doing. But the more games were played, and when the high level AI played against Mana, I realized this is not a mistake, a coincidence. It's something that AI thinks is the best thing to do. So I thought, like, I got really excited when I watched the stream. I was like really hyped. I was like, oh shit, this might change StarCraft, right? And again, we don't know, like, is the Zerg AI gonna do the same? Are we gonna see pull first all the time from Zerg AI into overjoining the main base and then going to the natural? Like, we don't know, and that's the exciting part. But one interesting thing that happened is every time the AI lost probes, it didn't matter because it was overprobed. So it went from 22 probes, let's say, to 17, and it was still mining really well. So even though the opponent would invest in harassment units, it, you know, yes, it did damage, but it didn't really impact the economy as much as if you would have only 16 probes. Because going from 16 to 10 probes is halving your economy, right? It's terrible. But going from 22 to 17 is not that big of a deal. If we take in consideration that you're mining 100% with 16 probes, I don't have the exact numbers, but let's say with 22 you're mining at 115%. So losing those probes, you only lost 10-15% of the mining. But if you go from 16 to 10, you almost went 50% down. And this makes a huge difference. And this is something that AI might have analyzed and might have figured out on its own. that sometimes in PvP, because of oracles, because of adepts, you will lose probes, and maybe that's why it's worth to over probe. This will be more clear if once the AI plays other matchups, once the AI plays other races, this will be more clear. But for now, this is what AI has been doing in PvP, and also what we've seen Mana in their live rematch do as well. So if Mana is doing it now as well, in the rematch, which was best of 1, he probably saw an improvement in PvP economy at least. So this is one thing that might sound very small, might sound very boring, but this can change completely how the StarCraft is played. You might start seeing way later expands in all the matchups. Not necessarily because you're playing safer, it's just because you don't need to expand as fast. Another thing the AI was doing is it was transferring the workers to its natural, kind of like what you've seen in Brood War. So I think this is what AI realized, which makes sense if you think about it. So you have two situations, right? You have a situation of having 16 probes in your main and then expanding, which is what you do in PvP, right? Everyone does that. And then you don't make probes until the natural is done. Meanwhile, you make tech, you make units, whatever, and then you start probing up. That is pretty much how professional PvP is played. But what the AI is doing, it's not utilizing the double probe production. What it's doing is constantly producing probes. So if you're mining, I think it's 900, someone can correct me on this, I think you mine 900 minerals from one base economy. The AI was mining 1050 on one base economy. So even though his expansion is delayed, he kind of makes it up because he's mining just more minerals from the main base. And then because he starts his natural later, he doesn't need to start probing up then. He just transferred, I think it was like 13, 14 workers, and he's instantly fully saturated on two bases. Compared to faster natural, but then slower kind of economy buildup, if that makes sense. There's probably a lot of math to be done with this, like which one is better. But again, if the AI played 200 plus years worth of StarCraft and has that much experience, there's probably a reason it does so. Now, the AI has been obviously wrong in the past. This might be something that AI just does, but I think there's more to it, and I think this will be something that will be researched quite a bit and something that people will be testing quite a bit. Again, when Mana rematched the AI, he went up to 24 probes in one base. So this is the one thing that's, for me, it's super exciting. The second thing that's super exciting that I want to discuss is a little bit, before I move on to the best thing, I'm gonna move on to a little bit of a that I've kind of had when I was watching those games. So first things first, they, at first they said the AI beat the first pro gamer, which was TLO's Protoss, which is obviously ridiculous. Hey, come on, you cannot compare Showtime to TLO's Protoss. Let's be honest, everyone. Come on. But they corrected it after by having Mana play against AlphaStar. Now, the one thing which I'm gonna show again when I analyze the games, I see you guys saying the replays are already up, was in one of the games, I think it was Mana versus AlphaStar, game number 4, when AlphaStar went for mass Blink Stalkers. They kept repeating how that AlphaStar has human-like APM and human-like reactions, but that's not true, okay? If you watch the stream, you would have seen that game, AlphaStar had 3 different control groups of stalkers, of Blink Stalkers, and it was blinking all of them at the same time, and the APM was peaking at 1,500. That doesn't sound like human-like reactions. I mean, guys, it killed 10 Immortals with pure Blink Stalker army. You're not gonna do that with 300 APM, I can tell you that right now. I realize, at the same time, it's very hard to simulate the real or realistic human APM, because sometimes the APM spike. Sometimes when you make units, the APM spike. But you can't, just because humans have that spike, it's not because they're playing that fast, it's because they're making units or they were spamming an ability. The AI was clearly using that APM to blink the stalkers, which is why it was blinking like insane. And like, he literally did a 360 around Mana's army and just kind of like picked it apart from like 3-4 different sides. So that was not human reaction, let's be honest. Like that, no human can do that, right? So they showed APM a couple of times, and the average APM was the same, but I'm guessing that's because the AI, when it's not fighting, it's not using the APM, so when it peaks in fights, what happens is it still averages the same as a human player, but it obviously did not, because the fight, that specific game number 4, the APM was insane. And again, you have to remember, this is not APM for the AI, this is clear, effective actions, right? Like the AI is not sitting there and spamming like 5 times on one spot, or the AI is not selecting its probes. This is all effective APM, most likely. I don't have the information on this, but I'm guessing they didn't program AI to spam like a baboon, right? So that's not really realistic, right? To have 1,500 effective actions. So that kind of was a little bit and I kind of hope they address that if they want to have it play against Koreans or play against Cyril or, other races, because I don't think that's fair and it doesn't really make any sense. Because, again, that's not human-like APM. Or effective APM. Now, that's the second thing. The third thing I wanted to discuss is the builds. Now, this is another thing that got me super excited, and I was just... like, I had a smile on my face, and I was just really excited for literally what's happening in front of my eyes. So, I realized there's a potential for this before, but you don't really understand it because you haven't seen it. Now, what I mean by this is the builds and the strategies that the AI used. I'm not going to go into specific, if it did it perfectly, I'm going to go into the specific unit compositions that the AI went into. And this is what's really interesting, because, again, what I said about earlier, you can't really understand it because you never saw it before, right? If someone told me that going 3 gates off of 2 base and 2 stargates is the best thing in PvP, I would be like, you're dumb. Like, that shit's not gonna work. What are you talking about? But that's the strategy that AI used against Mana, and he destroyed him. It was no blink stalkers, it was just stalkers that he was constantly warping in, and 2 Stargate Phoenix. That's the strategy he used against Mana, and Mana was using standard PvP, Stellar Arc and Immortal, with, I think he had blink stalkers as well, I'm not sure. And he got absolutely wrecked. Now, I don't think he had insane APM in that game. I saw units were being lost left and right. But
we've exhausted a Vespine geyser.
I just got really excited to the thought of what will AI develop, right? If AI did this kind of progress from TLO's AI to Mana's AI in a week, imagine in 6 months the strategies, the cheeses, the timings that we're gonna see from the AI that will be like perfectly executed. We will be seeing, whether people realize that or not, we will be seeing new unit comps. We will be seeing new playstyles, new builds. Whether the humans can execute them as well is a completely different discussion. But I can guarantee that some of the stuff that the AI AlphaStar did today, humans will be trying that, and they will be pushing towards those strategies. Because it seemed good. It seemed good. Like, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. When he played against Mana with the double Stargate and 3 gates with Phoenix Stalker, did it seem unbeatable? No. But it seemed pretty good. And he played well. I was like, I don't know what Mana could have specifically done better. Obviously, if Mana had more experience playing against that, he would have done better. But would he have beaten it? And I'm not sure about that. The reason for that is you will see a lot of these weird strategies that don't really make a lot of sense to us, but that's because we look at StarCraft as a natural progression, right? We look at early game, right? Fast expand, you got your mid-game units, and everyone is looking at the game like you're going towards the late game, right? That's your goal, the end game. But the AI doesn't look at a game like that. The AI stays on certain unit comps, even though they might be bad for us, because Immortals should beat Stalkers, but with good enough micro, even though it wasn't human-like, Stalkers can beat Immortals. And in the rematch, Mana did much better against the Blink Stalker strategy. But again, this is AI now, and what will AlphaStar be in a month, 3 months, or 6 months? That's something we have to yet see. I think the most important thing we saw was the mineral over probing. I'm actually super excited for the AlphaStar to play Terran and Zerg to see what it does there. Because I think we definitely saw some really, really interesting strategies. It kind of might change the way we see economy in StarCraft 2, which would be pretty big. So, yeah, I don't know. Another thing that the developers said, basically the way that AlphaStar was training, AlphaStar is not one AI, which is what I thought it is. It's not one AI, it's actually, I don't know how many, but let's say 10, 20, 30 different AIs. And what happened was, when they were little potato, they basically turned them on, and the AIs were learning by playing games against one another. They created a league for the AIs, and they were just playing one another all the time. And they said themselves that some of the AIs were very focused on the disruptors, some of the AIs were focused on Blink Stalkers, some of the AIs were proxying a lot, some of the AIs were focusing on Stargate play. So the AIs kind of, because they're learning on their own, they figured their own strategies and they worked on to improve them more and more. But one interesting thing that the developers said is that there was never an AI that was dominating all the other AIs. So basically what they meant by that is, I'll give a simple example. If you have a Blink Stalker AI and an Immortal AI and a Phoenix AI and a Cheese AI, Blink Stalker AI was beating Cheese AI was beating the Stargate AI was beating Immortal AI. So there was always an AI that can defeat another one. And there was never a strategy in all those hundreds of years of experience for them. There was never a moment where the AI was unbeatable, which I found to be super interesting.
Nothing left in that mineral cluster.
Because it brings up a lot of questions. Does that mean that there's no imbalanced units? Or does that mean that the AI hasn't reached that level? And, for example, the Blink Stalker strategy, right? What beats it? If Blink Stalker AI micros perfectly, what beats it? I mean, there's obviously a thing that does. We just don't know what it is because they haven't showed like every single game. But that's something really interesting to think about. And one of the developers actually brought up a good point that said, once we have all three AIs for all three races, we can finally see what the best race is. And that kind of sparks another discussion, which is, if you have three AlphaStar AIs, and one of them plays Protoss, one of them plays Zerg, one of them plays Protoss, Terran Protoss, Zerg. If the Terran one is always beating the other two, or the Protoss one is beating the other two, or the Zerg one, does that mean that that race is actually the best? Because the humans will not be able to play at that level. So it kind of, you know, brings up a discussion, where's the cutoff, right? What is overpowered then? If, let's say Protoss has a 30% win rate against Zerg, right? At a pro level, but the AI has 70% win rate, Protoss versus Zerg, which one is balanced and which one is imbalanced? You can't tell human players just play like AI, you know, micro every side perfectly. But if the AI is doing it, then there's clearly room for improvement in that matchup for the human players.
Looks like our warriors are seeing some action.
So I find it's like very fascinating, and Blizzard is gonna have to think a lot, because I don't know if they kind of went this in depth and try to think about these things, but Blizzard has to think a lot when and how they want to balance the game, because we've seen, I mean, I played Terran, not anymore, but I played Terran for 7 years, and if you guys are Terran players or any other player, you've probably heard just play like Maru. So imagine that Maru is the AI and everyone else is a human. Do you tell people to just play like the AIs and increase their win rates, or does Blizzard intervene and balance the game on their own? That's something we're gonna have to wait and see, because I don't know where the line is. And even with limiting the AI's APM to human-like APM, 300, 250, 400, whatever, that still doesn't mean that the human can play at that level. Because, again, it's not 300 APM, the AI is having effective APM, which is much, much different from just spamming APM. So this is something that I'm very kind of, not nervous, I'm excited and also a little bit scared what this means for the game, because this will, in a way, kind of make the community go two sides, right? One community will say, just play like AI, AI proved you can do it, so just do it. And then the other side will be like, well, we're humans, we're not AI, and this needs to be addressed somehow. Another thing to consider, as the AI improves, you know, if there's 30, 40 alpha stars playing at the same time, there will be the best strategy eventually, right? They did say that, you know, every strategy is not like ultimate and there's always a counter, but that's PvP. What happens in TvZ, right? If you play TvZ, there will be the one strategy, not necessarily that is the best, but it will have the highest win rate. And this will help the game develop to a point of us learning, humans learning the new builds, the new playstyle. Maybe we're gonna see like some weird TvZ, like 3 barracks, 3 factories, 2 starport builds that no one's ever done, but the AI might find that that is the best way to go. So it will be really fun to see how the AI will kind of shape the meta and all the things that are going to change, and how humans are going to, you know, try to incorporate some of those strategies. They might not be able to execute them, but I think this is really, really exciting for StarCraft, but at the same time, I find it a little scary. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's here, and we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with it in the future. But yeah, that is pretty much it, what I have to say about DeepMind. I'm going to go and analyze or check some of the games now from the AlphaStar, and kind of bring you guys my point of view there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about DeepMind. I would love to hear your thoughts, whether you're watching right now on Twitch or on YouTube. Let's move into the games. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out one of my previous videos. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Have a very nice day, and I'll see you guys next time.